Welcome to Behind the Crown Podcast with your hosts, Brian Hudson and Josh Griffin. Sit back and enjoy these great stories and memories of the Kingsmen Quartet.
Welcome to a great new episode of Behind the Crown Podcast with your host, Brian Hudson and Josh Griffin. I'm Brian Hudson. Josh, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, man. The Braves are back on TV, so I'm doing great. How are you
You're
doing,
happy
sir?
as a lark, aren't you?
Yeah, you better believe it.
Well, welcome to the Behind the Ground Podcast. In case you're just joining us maybe for the first time, if you're a fan of the Kingsmen or gospel music, this podcast is dedicated to the men, the message, and the music of the mighty Kingsmen Quartet, celebrating 70 years this year, 2026. And we've had a blast just interviewing a lot of the former guys and the current group as well. And we're just having a blast, just get behind the scenes, Josh, just finding out stuff. And what I like, long before I was ever a member of the group, I was a fan. So I love finding out stuff that we had never heard before, stories and pieces
There's been
of
a bunch of
trivia.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Well, Josh, before we get rolling on our special guest tonight on the podcast, do we have a piece of useless information for this week?
Yes, sir. Most U.S. stamp adhesive contains about 1/10 of a calorie. British stamps could set you back 5.9 calories. So how about that?
Oh, so you could gain more weight licking a British stamp.
Yeah.
Now
That is-
that's a good piece of useless information. You
That's
might need
very
that
useful.
somewhere down the road,
Yes. Yes. Might.
Well, several years ago, my family was hooked on this show called Cash Cab. I don't know if you've ever
Okay.
seen
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's where these random cabs would pick up somebody, this special cab would pick up somebody in New York or Los Angeles, and they'd pick up people and take them to their destination, and they had to answer random, useless information, facts. And as they go, if they answer so many questions, they get X amount of dollars. And so I told my wife back in the day, I said, we used to watch that show all the time. And I said, see, all this useless information that I have may come in handy one day. I mean, it just might come in handy.
Yeah.
I
Never
might get in
know.
the cash cab. I don't know. But Josh, I actually have a piece of useless information for tonight.
All right.
And believe it or not, it does not include food. It does not
Really?
involve food in any way.
Okay.
But parrots, parrots can dance to a beat, making them one of the very few animals with rhythm.
Wow.
You've seen
Okay.
parrots kind of do their thing,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Of course, I've seen a lot of gospel singers that doesn't have any rhythm, and I've seen a lot of church people that doesn't have any rhythm.
Yeah.
And maybe if we
Right.
got that church a bird, it would maybe teach some people some rhythm. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Let me ask you this: since you sung professionally and I still do, singing a fast song, if you see somebody out there clapping off beat or something, does that mess you
Yeah.
up?
Well, no, but because in every program I do, I'm gonna find
Yeah.
at least one or two songs that get people clapping, and I'm an old
Right.
drummer, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you clapping along with the song. And in fact, I did a church. I'm not gonna say where,
Yeah.
but it was in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And the first song that I had them start clapping along, oh my gosh, it was like popcorn going off, man. There wasn't a single person in that church that could clap on beat. And
Yeah.
I thought, okay, I've got at least 3 more songs in the program, in the set, that I'm gonna try to get them to clap along, and I didn't even attempt it. I mean, I still sing the songs, but I'm
That's right.
thinking, I'm not gonna it was awful mess. They were really trying, and, oh gosh, it was bad. I'd never met that
Mm.
many people in one place that they had 0
Yeah.
rhythm.
That's bad. Yeah.
But what do? You just keep on going. So
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Yes, sir.
Well, Josh, who is our special Kingsman guest tonight
Yeah.
on the podcast?
I remember this guy, meeting him way back in my junior year of high school.
Oh,
There we go.
Yeah, playing a 5-string Stingray bass with the mighty Kingsmen Quartet. None other than Grant Barker. Nice to
There
have
we
you,
go.
sir. Yeah.
Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you having me on, man.
man, Grant, you looking great, brother. It's been a few days.
Ooh. Brian, this is just fat. This is just added weight. This is all this is. With a nice glow here coming from this side. That's all it is. But yeah, I
Well,
appreciate you.
back in
You
the
guys
day,
looking
man,
good.
you and I we traveled together back in 2007.
Yep.
I rejoined in February. I remember getting on the bus when I rejoined, and we were heading west to the West Coast, West Coast tour.
Yep.
We were doing a West Coast tour,
Yep.
and I think I had met you one time before that somewhere. I can't remember exactly
Yeah.
where. Some little bitty church. I had heard you guys maybe in October of
Yeah.
2020,
Yep.
20, yeah, 2006. So,
Yep.
but anyway,
Definitely.
it's great having you on here, man.
Yeah.
Man,
And
same. Yeah.
you're a family man these days, and so we value you coming on here. And I know your time at home is very precious, and I get that. So
Yeah.
we appreciate you
Yeah.
taking
All
some
good,
time
man.
out and talking with us.
Yeah. Glad to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Well, our first question.
Hey friends, Alan Kendall with today's Kingsmen Quartet here. Mark your calendars for Friday, July the 10th, 2026, a very important day for the Kingsmen. We will be hosting our 70th anniversary hometown concert at Trinity Baptist Church in Asheville, North Carolina, July 10th at 6:30 p.m. We will be singing songs, both brand new and newly recorded, updated versions of Kingsmen hits from our 70th anniversary album, Still Jesus, which also drops to digital retailers that very same day. Then we'll have an extended second half where we will be singing all hits with an all-star Kingsmen cast. The present Kingsmen will be joined by several past members for an evening you will never forget. Now, there is no admission charge for this concert. This is a thank you to our fans. But you can reserve seats and name your own price in our Center 70 section by visiting our Facebook page. Information will be pinned at the top of the page with the link where you can reserve a place among the best seats in the sanctuary and at your own price. The demand for these seats is large, so act quickly. Hey, we'll see you in Asheville on July the 10th.
And I usually form it this way. You just didn't wake up on the Kingsman bus one day and you were there. So take us back in the old time machine
Yeah.
and where your love of music started and kind
Mhm.
of how you got your start.
Yeah, well, as far as music goes, I was in, I'm gonna say like 8th or ninth grade and had no interest in music at all. And my dad took me over to some of his family in Troy, North Carolina, and his uncle and his son were playing guitar and bass. They were playing Beatles songs and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And I just heard the guy playing bass, and on the drive back, I said, "Dad, did that guy was on playing one note at a time?" And
Yeah.
he said, "Yeah, that's a bass." And I said, "I think I'd like to learn how to do that."
Yeah.
Okay.
And it just out of nowhere. Looking back, I don't even know what inspired me, but from there, he taught me how to play some,
Yeah.
and then he was already big into Southern gospel music. I mean, he as far as listening to it, he was listening to, Gold City, Kings. I mean, you name it, all the big groups. He was listening to all of it, and so that was already well in my DNA.
Okay.
Right. And
Okay.
so it did not take long to say, "Hey, Dad, how do you play this
Yeah.
song or that song?" And he did a good job getting me started. Um, and so that was, from there, the group that he was a part of had just started not long after that. And their bass player, he was kind of waiting to see, was this thing going to actually, get off the ground floor.
Okay.
And Dad said, "Hey man, my son would like to play. Is that okay?" And so I butted my way in on my first group, and I was terrible. I'm gonna tell you, I was terrible. I really couldn't hear it good. I
Yeah.
would memorize it,
Okay.
and
Okay.
and I'd say, "Dad, come listen to this," and he was kind of like, "Oh man, you're tone deaf, man. Like you don't have it." And something clicked. I would say it was probably 6 months in.
Okay.
I wanted it bad. I wanted it bad.
Yeah.
And so something clicked. The next thing you know, I was working out. You know, I was really stretching.
Okay.
Trying to really
Yeah.
form my ear and all that. And I guess you're asking kind of like how did that lead to the Kingsman?
Well, we're going to ask that here in a second, but
Oh, I got you.
mainly just how you got started. But okay,
Yeah.
so did you pick it up pretty easily though when you first started playing bass? You said
No,
you wasn't
I
very
would
good,
not
but
say easy. Not easy. No, a lot of discouragement along the way. Times where I told Dad, I said, "I think I'm gonna quit this," and he said, "No." He said, "I think you need to stick with it." I
yeah.
had a guy discourage me at one church, and the very next church a guy said, it really went out of his way and encouraged me. It's, hey
Yeah.
man, you're doing good on that bass, man. Keep it up. And it was just enough to
Yeah.
keep me going, and then it's like, you have one little baby step, another little baby step, and next thing you know, you're like, okay, well now I can hear music, and
Yeah.
now I hear the bass part, and now I'm learning how to write a chart, and
Yeah.
just I wanted it bad for sure.
Wow.
So
And the name of the group was that the Men of Faith?
Men of Faith, yep, Men of
Okay.
Faith, yep.
Okay.
And
Cool.
so humble beginnings, and they turned into a really good group, and that's folded
Yeah.
up now. But that was we had a male quartet, and then we had the 3-piece band. And the group wanted it bad. I mean, we were all learning together.
Yeah.
Some of the guys were really advanced, and some of the guys had been singing a long time and that kind of thing. But as a band, we were figuring it out. And looking back, it was a lot, a lot of the recordings. I'd be like, oh man, I wasn't on that. To be sure.
Yeah.
uh, but then it turned into some really great recordings and things I'm really proud of. And we all, that was we were listening to all the top classic Southern gospel
Yeah.
music and top 40 Southern gospel music and all that. We wanted it bad, and I keep saying that because that's really the truth. I mean, there's a lot of want to in that.
Yeah.
Anybody that says, "Oh, I could never sing or I could never play this or that," and I go, I don't think that's true. I don't think you want it bad enough.
Yeah.
I'm living
True.
proof of that. So
That's very true.
anyway,
Very true. That's cool. Okay.
Grant, talk a little bit about your Kingsman audition, if you don't mind, please. If
yeah.
there was one.
Yeah. So just butting my way into things, basically. I was playing with Men of Faith and was really happy doing that. And then I had another thing that was like a side gig. I'll say it was with Devin McGlamory, was with
Okay. Yeah.
Karen Peck at the time.
Okay.
And so they were doing like praise and worship music every Wednesday night in Kinston, North Carolina. And just found my way into that band playing bass. And I told Devin, I said, man, if there's a group that loses a bass player, somebody steps away or whatever, I
Yeah.
want an audition. I want it. And we had just Men of Faith had just had opened for the Anchorman,
Okay.
and of course Tim Bullins was there, and so we formed a connection there. And at the same time, so when Jason Self was, I guess, talking about leaving the Kingsmen,
Right.
Tim Bullins picked up on that, and so he told Brandon and some of the guys, it was like, man, I just heard a good bass player. You guys need to check him out. And at the same time, Devin said the same thing. So I had two
Okay. Okay.
nice voices there in my corner. And
Yeah.
so I tracked it down. I don't remember how I found it. I mean, this was 2006. I mean, so it wasn't like you could just Google search Brandon Reese's
Right.
phone
Yeah.
number. I mean, I had to dig, and find this. And I reached out to Brandon and said, hey, I see you guys are going to be in Virginia. I want to try out.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you guys, and Brandon knows this, and the guys, Brian, you probably heard me talk about it, but I was in college at the time and working at a paint store,
Yeah.
and was kind of miserable,
Yeah.
and I was pouring in so much time into learning those songs, knowing that tryout was a month or two away.
Yeah.
I was failing my classes at a certain point.
Oh my
I was
God.
just putting so much time in because I wanted to nail it. Like I wanted
Yeah.
there to be no question.
Yeah.
And so I had learned, I was admittedly putting a lot more time on the new record. I should have been putting more time on classics looking
Okay.
back, but I just didn't know better.
Yeah.
Good God had just come out, and
Right.
boy, it was awesome. That was a great record, and
Yeah.
it had an impression on me. So I learned the whole record. I learned the one before that, was
My
it Past is Past?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Learned all those. And so I had reached out to him. We lined it up in Virginia. We show up, and I'm talking with the guys and the sound check. This is not, it's not tooting my horn, but it was just, it was fun to be able to like execute this like how I
Yeah.
wanted, right? So my dad drove me up, and it was kind of bittersweet for Dad because he's like pulling for me, and he also hates to lose me from Men of
True.
Faith,
Yeah.
so
I
that
can see
was
that. Yeah.
that was very real. But no, we got everything set up. I set up the full rig. I said, hey, you guys leave up your whole sound system. After the service is over, I'll set up, and then we can just hit it,
Yeah.
And Brandon looks at me very like, well, let's see, and says, all right, what do you want to play? And I said, anything on your new record.
Okay.
And him and Nick kind of went like, okay, good God, counted it off, and we did like the first 3 or 4 songs back to back, and
Okay.
they were like, yeah, okay.
Wow. Wow.
So, and Philip Hughes asked, it was a great story in bass player world, Josh. I think you'll appreciate. Before the tryout, Philip Hughes asked, he said, "Can you play the lick on Good Good God?" Or no, on God Can Save? Because there was a cool part in that was it bridge? It was a cool part that the electric and bass played. And I was like, yeah. He was like, yes, all right. And so when I hit it, he's standing at the back doing the fist stuff. He's like, yes.
That's right.
So and next thing you know, we're talking about, all right, when can you hit the road? So
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
But-
it just goes to show you, you worked hard for preparation.
Yeah.
And you went in there and knocked it out. You had confidence to do it. And, I know a lot of musicians or singers, they're going for a rehearsal or an audition, and they think they're just going to walk in there and they don't realize it's a lot tougher, especially when you get in front of them. It's a lot tougher than you think it is,
Yeah.
know.
No doubt.
I
No
think
doubt. Man, I was nervous. You say I was confident. I was nervous as I could be. I was just soaking wet with sweat.
Yeah.
I guarantee you. Well, we talked to Jeremy Peace a few weeks ago, and he said that he when he went for his audition, he said he was so nervous. And Josh, you remember, he said he was so nervous. He said he opened his mouth and nothing was coming out, nothing.
Yeah.
And he said, I mean, he said it was awful, and luckily, he said, the concert started, and he was able to do a couple songs with him during the concert, and his voice worked in. He said, but during the actual audition, he said, man, I couldn't, nothing would come out. And so, this goes to show you put in the legwork, you put in the hard work, and it paid off, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It was an experience I'll never forget.
Well, and I'm glad you got it because, like I said, I had a great time with you, and you were a great player. And
Same.
and not only, and you can attest to this, being in, not just the Kingsmen, but Men of Faith as well. Yes, you got to have a degree of talent, but you got to be somebody that you can get along with. You got to be able to, you got to be able to fit. And, when I came there, you had been there a few months already. And so, we all got along, and we fit like a glove, and we were a team. And that's what made it so much better,
Yeah. It was fun. It really was. I mean, like, you spend enough time with somebody every single day. I mean, you're going to have little things here and there, but man, it was a lot of fun. It was an adventure. Every weekend was an adventure.
It was, especially when we had bus breakdowns. That was always an adventure for
Yeah. Well, we have an owl go through the windshield one time. I think that was when I was
I
with y'all.
remember that. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Old Larry.
Huge owl. Yeah.
Yeah.
Larry Linkus.
Larry Linkus. Yes, Larry was a great driver, man.
Yeah.
We may
One of
have
that
to get
team.
Larry Linkus on here sometime, Josh.
Yeah, that would be a great, that'd
Yeah.
be a great one.
Well, Grant, I've got some stats on you, brother.
Okay.
You joined the Kingsmen in late September, early October 2006. And let's see, you were on the I'll Not Turn Back live DVD.
Yep.
That we recorded in Pigeon Forge. And we also recorded Honor the Heritage Volume 2 live. There, also a DVD. And then you left in December 2007. Of course, you did the Quartet convention with us in September 2007, and that was I think we sang 3 times that week, and it was great. And they recorded. I think they recorded all of our performances there the whole time we did there. But during your Kingsman tenure, did you have a favorite song that you enjoyed to play?
Yeah, man. I mean, that God Can Save Anybody Anywhere. That just, from a bass player perspective, just had all the licks, and it was just fun. Yeah, that stuck with me. But there was a lot of good ones, man. I mean, as far as classics, and I got a story I'm gonna share before we hang up about like Just As the Sun Went Down. That was one that just, if I saw it as the opener, I was always like, yes, that's perfect opener, man.
Yeah, perfect opener.
Simple bass part, but yeah.
Yep. That's right.
Yeah. We talked to Johnny Perrick about that a few weeks ago. He talked about Just As the Sun Went Down, and he said, and usually when I was emceeing with you there, and we opened up that just about every night. That was usually our opener.
Mm-hmm.
It was, most of the time it was if it wasn't our opener, it was the next night. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. Medium tempo, perfect.
Perfect intro. Perfect.
Grant, did you have a least favorite song to play?
Yeah, I would say probably like when I wake up, or
Yeah.
Okay.
it's probably something like. I mean, just because we did it so much, and
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I was and I'll be the first to admit this while we're talking about something I didn't like,
Yeah.
and I know what Brian's thinking, and I'll just tell you, I was immature, hot shot, dumb. I would do things so different now, but just looking back, I should have just shut my mouth and just had a good time. You know, no matter what the set was, whether it was, "Guys, we're gonna do When I Wake Up all night," that's fine. Let's just hit it, I should have just
Yeah.
gone along with the flow, but, you're in it, and it means a lot to you in the moment, and
Yeah.
anyway, but no, there was none. I didn't hate any of 'em. I mean, they were all great songs for a reason. I mean, these are songs that were top hits,
True.
Yeah.
That's
people
true.
wanna hear what they wanna hear, and it didn't matter what I wanted.
Well, and hey, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said we were young and
Yeah,
we didn't realize it at the time because we were we're in the thick of it. We didn't
yeah,
realize that those days weren't always going to be there,
yeah,
and we were getting to be on pretty large concerts and got to a
mhm,
lot of people, and so it's easy to get lost in that, and like you said, when you're young and dumb, you don't know any better. Your mouth. Hey, wait till you get my age. I'm old and dumb, and my mouth still gets away from me. So
Oh,
it happens.
goodness. Yeah.
oh, me. Mm.
The band song, "God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen,"
Mhm,
that was recorded on "I'll Not Turn Back" live video and CD.
mhm.
Tell us how y'all put that together, you, Brandon, and Nick, and, man, that was
Ooh,
as a bass player, I said, "There ain't no way I could do that," but that
yes, you
was
could.
that
Yes, you
was
can.
great stuff.
You absolutely can. Man, I'll tell you, a lot of props to Nick on that. I
Yeah.
mean, and Nick and Brandon were head and shoulders above me musically, I was just hanging on for dear life to keep up with them. But Nick was very musically gifted from a like music theory
Yeah,
perspective. I'll get on a tangent here, but early, probably maybe it might have been the tryout, but it was early in my tenure with the Kingsmen, and I had little runs and fills and things that always worked in my mind.
yeah,
And Nick said, "Man, I really like what you're doing on that, but the third note that you're playing and the sixth note that you're playing, those are wrong right there. So could you replace those with these notes?" And I was like,
okay,
oh, well, okay, like, I got somebody that really is
yeah,
hearing what I'm doing. It's not
yeah,
just low rumbles, right?
right,
Right.
But, yeah, we were talking about we wanted an instrumental, uh, you know, we felt like we had a good band. I was like, "Man, we really need to be able to feature this."
yeah,
And it it was a lot of work. We spent time in sound checks working on that because
yeah,
where I live was 6 hours away from the
yes,
Kingsmen, so I was driving that every week, meeting Philip in Asheboro halfway.
right,
'Cause it wasn't like I could just ride to Nick's house and work on it.
true,
Right.
true,
Yeah.
true,
Like, the only time we could ever get together was every single week in sound check. So the guys would finish the vocals, we'd say, "All right, y'all go on the bus, we're gonna work." And we probably spent, I don't know, 2 months or more working on it, and we tried a lot of different variations of different parts. We were listening to, a lot of different kinds of music, trying to glean from and
yeah,
get inspiration from, and so, we wanted it to be edgy.
yeah,
We wa we wanted it to be pushing, we didn't want it to be "I'll Fly Away," right?
right, right.
And it was not that.
No,
Yeah.
no, no.
But, props to Nick and Brandon, man, they were awesome, and I was just hanging on for dear life.
Now, I'll throw this in here too. The first time y'all played it live, I mean, when you had that little solo part, I mean, I guess just memorization, playing it over and over, just remember where it
Yes.
comes in at, but I imagine that had to be kind of nerve-wracking too, probably, or, just to get the
Yeah. I was big on memorization, like, none of that
yeah,
was improvised.
yeah.
I'm not a good improviser still to
Oh,
this day, that's something I
I'm
could
not
stand to
either,
work
yeah.
on.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but, you give me the song and give me time, and
yeah,
I can, that's where I feel like I'm best, but, yeah, I mean, I got lessons from a guy during that time, so when I came home every week from the Kingsmen, it was probably only 2 or 3 lessons, but I had a guy that was really he was a
Okay,
great bass player that was into, like, like black gospel stuff. I mean, he
Oh,
really
wow. Okay.
had the music theory stuff down. And so he showed me some things that gave me some inspiration for that bass solo section. I'd play it different today, but I'm still happy with it.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Yes,
it
sir.
turned out great. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
we're going to watch it on the podcast. So we're going to watch it
There we
right
go.
now.
Cool.
Anytime. I'll tell you what, boys in the band, you all ever more played that. Give them a hand for that. Didn't they do a fantastic job on that? Great job. I'll tell you what, real quick, I'll introduce the Kingsmen Band to you, or on the keyboard doing a wonderful job. How about for Nick Succi? Nick on the keys. Back there on the bass guitar, youngest man up here. How about it for Grant Barker? Grant. Back on the drums is Brandon Reese. How about it for Brandon? I'll tell you what, you want to hear the band play something? Yeah. All right, y'all just tear off on something. Go ahead. Kingsmen Band. How about it? Fantastic.
Was there a type of venue that y'all enjoy playing at? Any memorable venues, I guess, that come to mind too as well?
Um, yeah, I mean, that was, I think NQC's changed over the years, but that was back when it was was it Louisville,
Yeah,
Brian?
back in Louisville, yeah.
And man, that was, for me, I had never played anything that big,
Yeah.
nothing close to it. And I was nervous leading up to it. The guys had built it up like, hey, no pressure, but Jason Self never made mistakes. Mr. Perfect.
Yeah.
Mr. Perfect. And I was like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah, no
great.
pressure, no pressure.
Yeah. And so that was I had never felt my bass guitar like fill a room like that, like
Yeah.
because the subs I think are all under the stage.
Yeah, they
And then
are.
they
Yeah.
had house speakers kind of in the top that was filling around, but it just felt huge. And so like right off the bat, like from the first note was like, whew, okay, don't mess up. Like you are out there. Like people can hear your bass guitar. It's not
Oh
hiding.
yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we did some other ones that in my mind I can't remember where they were. I never knew where I was at. People would call me, my mom or dad, hey, where you at tonight? I'm on the bus. But yeah, there was a lot that stood out.
Yeah.
The big ones, the small ones. I mean, you never knew. I mean, you'd have some of
Yeah.
the small ones would be hilarious, to be honest. Like, I mean, because if we were bored, you'd have this off date where, there'd be less than 100 people at some, fill in date, and Brian or Tony or somebody would introduce us all with the wrong names.
Yeah.
So it'd just be hilarious, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
so those weren't.
that was a Tony Peace thing, man. He
Yeah.
was known to he was he was known for giving the guys just making up names just
Yeah.
right out of the gate.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he
Oh,
was. You better be ready with him.
Yeah.
I got a good story about him too. I'll share it. But
oh man, that's great. That's great.
yeah.
What was your go-to snack on the road?
So this is just going to show you how broke I was, right? But
Okay.
it was the bag rice that you could heat in a microwave
Yeah.
Oh,
and a Coca-Cola.
okay.
Wow.
Loved it. That was like it'd fill your belly for like next to no money. But yeah, rice and Coca-Cola all the
Well,
time.
and you were so super skinny back in the day. It must have did well for you.
Yeah, it added up for sure.
It added up. Yes. Yes.
Oh man,
Well, Josh, do we have any Facebook questions for Grant tonight?
we do,
Okay.
and we'll start off with this one right here from Mr. Ben Hendricks Meyer. But do you have any tips for someone wanting to transition from playing a 4-string bass to a 5-string bass?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good question. I don't think about the added B string. I don't think about it any differently than any other string. Even if you completely change the tuning, as long as the tuning was all the same on all strings,
Yeah.
but if you down tuned it a half step, whole step, or tuned it up or whichever direction, as long as all strings are in connection with each other, and you just threw me on a gig, I could figure it out pretty quick. But it's because you know where it's at. And so it's not like because I've since my time with the Kingsmen, I've spent a lot of time on guitar. So I play acoustic and I play electric.
Okay.
And coming from bass, I think that's the bigger challenge. Really, is that those top two strings are tuned different than your the two high strings are tuned different than the rest of it. So you kind of have to think different. There's obviously reasons why it is that way, but for bass, yeah, the 5-string, because I play a 4-string and a 5-string. It just depends on the setting and what the song calls for. But I wouldn't think of it any different than the other strings.
That's right. That's right.
That's pretty cool. Okay.
John Barker has asked this question here. When you was with the Kingsmen, did you have a chance to meet someone who was special to you? Might have been like a former Kingsman member or somebody in Southern gospel music, another group or something.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this guy that came on and sang baritone with us, man, Brian Hudson.
Yeah.
Man, he was trouble
Um,
from the word get go.
man, so many. I mean, the group as it was, and that's Brian included. Brian and Ray and Brandon and Nick and Phil and Jeremy, Tony, Harold. I mean, all those guys. I mean, they were all heroes to me, seriously. And so I did not take that light. I was pinching myself all the time. But then, you form those friendships, and then you have an Ernie Phillips
Yeah.
come on the bus for a handful of weekends. That was special. Tim Surratt, he was a huge inspiration to me. And all the guys in different groups, and people that you thought you kind of had figured out, and they were completely different.
Yeah.
So those Jim Hamill, those are some standouts. Ray obviously is a legend. So definitely.
That's right.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yep. And thank y'all, everyone, for the great Facebook questions this week. We appreciate it. Keep sending in questions, and we'll keep using them as we go on these interviews.
Here we go.
Thank
Those
you.
are good ones. Good
Yeah,
questions.
Good question.
Yeah.
Well, very quickly before we continue on with our interview with Grant tonight, I want to encourage everybody, if you're a Kingsman fan, I'll say it this way: all things Kingsman decades of music, decades of memories. It's 70 years of songs and stories and moments from the Kingsmen Quartet. I encourage you, if you don't have this book yet, Alan Kendall of the Kingsmen wrote this book, and man, it's chock full of great information. Anything Kingsman, it's got stories and on songs and behind the scenes, concerts, behind the a lot of the personnel, guys that travel with the group, and the early days of the Kingsmen, and you'll be encouraged to go on Amazon and get this book, Decades of Music, Decades of Memories by Alan Kendall. Go on Amazon and get that. So I know you enjoy that. So when you were on the road with the Kingsmen, Grant, did you have a favorite thing that you loved about the road?
Just the funny things that happen in the times, friendships and
Yeah.
we were, me, Nick, and Brandon were in the back playing Halo all the time,
All the
so
time.
that
Yeah.
was, and they always said I was a sore winner,
Yeah.
so you got sore losers. I was, if I won, it was in your face, and
In your face. Yeah.
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 So we did a lot of that, but it just the funny things that happened, and it really was an adventure. Like no week was the same.
Oh no. No.
Um,
No.
and so just every relationship was different. So like if me and you, I think about like all the times like hanging around a hotel waiting on whoever was showering,
Yeah.
right? So then the next guy could, so if it was me and you hanging out, we'd be watching something on the TV and talking
Yeah.
about, hey, watch a basketball game or whatever. And,
Yeah.
it's just good friendships, man. It
Yeah.
just, that completely, I came onto the bus as a boy, right?
Yeah.
And I felt like I left more like a man. I still had a ways
Yeah.
to go, but it was just, I was able to grow up,
There
so
there were some definitely good times. And one of the awesome things, and we've talked about this on other episodes, we were all friends, man.
yeah, yeah,
And I'm sure you have too. You hear horror stories of other groups where they can't stand one another. And we never had
no,
any Kingsman lineup I was a part of, we were all friends. And
yeah,
that made a huge difference,
yeah.
made a huge difference.
Always laughing. I can
Oh
remember
yeah.
my throat hurting from laughing so much, and I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
just
man.
being up late, because the hours were so weird. I mean, you get done. You go eat at Waffle House at midnight, and then
Yeah.
you're back on the bus. Well, the night's just starting at 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
We're
starting.
cutting
Yeah.
up and laughing, and nothing bad.
Yeah.
But somebody flip that door open and say, "We're trying to sleep back here. It's two a.m. in the morning. Because we're just laughing. Doing
Yeah,
stupid stuff. But
just fun stuff, trying to
yeah,
pass the time away and not kill one another, and
yeah,
so we had a good time. Well, what
yeah.
was did you have a least favorite thing about being on the road?
Hello, this is Kingsman alumni Randy Crawford. Thanks for supporting the Behind the Crown podcast.
The traveling like between dates,
Yeah.
like what really sticks out to me was that West Coast trip.
Yeah.
How many days we went through Texas. You
Yeah.
know, and it was like, are we still in Texas? Are we
Yeah.
still like, and this is one where I would do it different now, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
the immaturity of me, we didn't get to shower every day. Come on now, I gotta have my shower. I gotta get my hair right. Um, that was looking back, I should have gone with the flow better, but yeah, at the time I was irritated if I didn't get a shower every single day. That was not realistic. That was not. It's not like we were sweating, a
Right,
whole lot.
right, right.
We were fine, but man, it was a whole lot more good than bad. It would be hard to find. I mean, it'd be hard to find any bad.
Yeah.
So
Great, if you don't mind, for bass guitar nerds like myself, talk a
yeah,
little bit about your gear and all that you use, your guitar, bass guitar, your amp, and all that setup, please, sir.
really simple. I mean, I played a Stingray 5-string, no mods. I played an Avalon U5 for the direct box. Looking back, I always ran it really scooped in the EQ. And on those recordings, from those live recordings, thank goodness somebody had the sense to go back and correct my mistake, because whoever went back, they were like, "Wait, this is scooped," and you can hear they added so much in the low mids. They just made it sound fat and big,
Yeah.
and I didn't know how to do that then.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just picked whichever one sounded good by itself,
Uh-huh.
and bass by itself is not good in a mix, right? You got to figure out how does it sound good in a mix. I just didn't know how to do that then, but Avalon U5, kind of hard to go wrong. That was a killer setup, and I just totally copied Adam Borden on that. That was what he ran for a long time. And then as far as amp, I ran out of the U5 direct to the Avalon U5 to the board, and then I ran the through to a little 100-watt amp. I mean, no joke, really.
Yeah.
I did not want much stage volume,
Okay.
because trying to feed back into Ray's mic was always a thing. I was trying to keep that from doing that. And I stood right on top of the amp, so I didn't want the amp spilling out into the into the stage, right? I wanted to just feel it a little bit. I think I ran in-ears for part of that time.
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, really simple setup, man.
Yeah. Good
Wow.
deal. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, Grant, fans, of course, it's been a few days since you've been on the Kingsman bus, but
Yeah.
one of my favorite questions that we ask is,
Yeah.
about the fans, and very thankful that Kingsman fans are as loyal as they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
But on occasion, we would hear some pretty crazy or funny things they would say to us. So, can you remember back that far? Anything really off the wall or goofy or funny that a fan said to you, or that you heard about?
I mean, what sticks out to me was, and this is, I think, probably something that still happens today, was like just getting confused for somebody else. I was the out of the limelight bass player. I mean, if they had just bass on the track, how many people would have noticed, right? I mean,
Right.
and so somebody would come up to me and say, "Young man, you really tore it up on that piano," right? And I would just say, "I've been working hard on that, ma'am. Thank you." Or "You did a great job singing tonight, and I ain't sung one note." And I'd say, "That was my favorite song. I've been working hard on it." I'd always try to lean into it like it.
Yeah.
There's no sense in like fighting them. Like, "Hey, actually, wasn't me. I was the bass player back. You played what now? You played the steel." Like,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you just go with it, whatever they
you
say.
go with it.
Just
Yeah.
just go with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because no matter
I
what
was
you
just grateful
said,
they were
they're
there.
going to change their mind.
No, I'm sure of it now. You were singing.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah,
That's good.
I had a lady come up to me one night. This was years before I ever joined the Kingsmen, and this ain't my interview, but she walked up. She said, "I've got that record when you were singing with the Singing Americans."
Oh,
And I
okay.
said, that wasn't me." She said, "I got it out the other day. I was cleaning my house and I got that record out. Were you singing with the Singing Americans?" I said, man, I'm sorry, but that wasn't me." She said, "Oh, I love that song. That's probably my favorite album of all time." And and I wasn't going to convince her. I mean, I thought
Yeah.
if I was there, I would have remembered that. So I finally just said, "You know what?" After about 3 or 4 minutes of that, I said, "You know what? They still owe me money, and they still haven't paid me." So I just
Yeah.
go with it. You go with it.
People
Oh,
confuse me and Brandon all the time because we did, we similar frame,
You did,
dark
yeah.
hair. We got confused all the time, and we
I
just
can
went
see
with it.
that.
Yeah.
I can see
Yeah.
that. Yeah. If you could pick just 3 musicians that you'd want to
Yeah.
just jam with or play a set with, who would you choose?
Man, that's tough. I was thinking Southern gospel.
No, man. Yeah.
I'd have to put some more thought into that, but yeah, I mean, from Southern gospel perspective, I already got to do some of that. I mean, so in my mind, Nick Succi and Brandon, they were that was just special.
Yeah.
If I could go back with people that I didn't get to play with,
Yeah.
like Gary Jones and Doug Riley,
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
that's I mean, to be able to sit, kind of sit in that spot,
Yeah.
because that was on a lot in the house growing up. Um, but yeah, I mean, I have no preparation on anything outside Southern gospel. I mean, that is way too many musicians to think about. I mean, like, I don't know. I think like Vince Gill or
Yeah, man.
Sting. I mean, people that are super talented. I don't know. That's I'd be here all night thinking of that.
That'd be cool though. I mean, that'd
Yeah,
be a definite bucket list to get to play
yeah,
with, and
Yeah.
just maybe to me, just sit in the same room with them. Let not,
yeah,
forget playing. Just
yeah,
just be in the room with some of those people.
yeah.
Yep.
I think the dream would be like, going back to my preparedness. It would be like, give me like 2 months with whatever it is we're gonna play, and then let me sit in on something I already know.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that would be the way to do it.
yeah.
Yep.
That'd be cool.
Don't put me on the spot. I'll be miserable. I'll just bomb.
That's good.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Any particular musicians that inspired you over the years, whether it be in
Oh,
Southern
yeah.
gospel or other genres of music?
Yeah, man. I mean, from Southern gospel perspective, um, Tim Surratt, Mark Fain, Adam Borden, Lori Sykes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Lori was very encouraging to me. We did a couple of dates with Jason Crabb when I was on the road, and I just always felt like, man, I even told my grandparents, they came and heard us one time, and I said, "Y'all are gonna hear what real bass playing is." Right when Lori starts playing, like that's legit. Um,
Incredible player. Incredible
yeah.
player.
Oh, yeah. And so she was always really encouraging. And Adam Borden was too. I mean, I talked to him a couple of times
Yeah.
at Gold City concerts, and of course Tim Surratt was like the nicest human on the planet.
Yeah.
And he came out and he covered. Was that between? That might have been between you and Tony that he covered maybe for a couple weeks.
I think so.
So that was like talking about nerves. Like, oh, here's the guy, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but
You wanna play bass and sing, and I'll just sit on the bus or sit out in the
oh
audience?
yeah,
Yeah.
that was literally, yeah. I was like, what am I
Yeah.
doing here? Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, as far as outside, I mean, anything that was bass centric, I was
Yeah.
listening to. If I thought I could steal
Yeah.
something, bass wise in terms of licks or any kind of musicality, I was just soaking it all up. I wanted it so bad,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. Yeah. Anything on the radio, I mean, if I heard, I'd say, okay, well, I need to go learn that because I can apply that to this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And that goes back to perfecting your craft. You
yeah.
know, Nick Bruno has said that, and we've shared that countless times on our episodes.
Yeah.
It's having that degree of talent and wanting to perfect your craft, either singer or musician, whatever it is, to get
Yep.
better, to learn, because there's always more to learn.
Oh, always. Yeah.
You get a musician and say that's as good I'm gonna get. I'm not gonna get any
Yeah.
better, man. You
That
just
ain't no
keep
good.
you just keep learning. You just do your best
Always.
to keep learning. So
I'm still learning, man. I'm still getting after it. I mean, there's so much to learn. You could spend your whole life trying to
yeah,
learn music theory.
right.
Anyway.
Very true. Very
Yes,
true.
sir.
Well,
Yes.
tell us about your salvation experience, if you don't
Yeah, I
care.
was young. I don't have that story that's like, oh, all the sin and the drugs and the drinking and all
Yeah.
that. I got saved when I was 7, and it was more of a, uh, you know, really out of innocence, and it was just like, well, I want to be saved. I need to be
Yeah.
saved, and I was listening to what the preacher was saying, and my preacher did it right. I mean, he didn't just let me. It wasn't just like a one moment emotional thing. Like he had
Yeah.
like a Bible study thing that he
Good.
really wanted me to understand certain things, and
Yeah.
we went through many weeks that it was kind of a build up to that before I actually made that
Okay.
Yeah.
like proclamation of faith.
Yeah.
Um, and I'll add to that too. Brian, you were on the road with us when this happened. When I was with the Kingsmen, we played a date and they had a pastor there and he was trying to really scare everybody into salvation, right? And
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
his motives were good, but the way he went about it really, I mean, me and Nick sat at the back and talked, and we were are are we are we really saved? Like based on what he was saying, I mean,
Yeah.
it scared us. Because he even said, "You're telling me you were saved when you were 7? Give me a break." And I was like,
Mm.
"What? Like you just called me out, dude."
Yeah.
And so I went back to my pastor, the very same guy. I went back and talked to my dad, and I was like, "What was the date? I'm trying to find the date." And my pastor said, because it's been so long, it's hard to remember every memory from when you're 7."
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And he said, "No, you meant it. You knew what you were saying." Like he said, "Do you know it now?" And
Uh-huh.
that just that idea of like, do you remember the exact date? Well, the skies didn't part. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it is every day we are seeking him, and we're
Yes.
praying and we're reading our Bibles and we're asking Jesus to come into our hearts and we're like seeking it, right?
Yes.
And so it's just hard to say like, well, okay, I didn't, was it one special day that I went to the altar and shed some tears and said a prayer? Well, okay, that
Mhm.
that's different for everybody, as
It is.
far as
Yeah.
how you come to the Lord. But that was my experience, and so it was more of a reassurance of my faith
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
that even though that pastor, I think the way he went about it was wrong.
Yeah.
and in that setting. And there was a lot of young people, and I think he was he wanted those altars full, and I get it. But at least it's allowed me to share that story with a lot of people to be able to say like, hey,
Yeah.
don't get hung up on the small stuff. Like, have you asked him today?
Yeah.
Just do it now.
Yeah.
So
Right.
anyway,
That's good. That's very good.
yeah.
Grant, did you listen to the Kingsmen growing up before you joined the Kingsmen? And if so, what was your favorite lineup of the Kingsmen?
Oh, yeah. So I did listen to the Kingsmen prior. My dad probably had more Gold City on growing up than Kingsmen, but we did have some Kingsmen that was on, like with all groups. Like we had all of it going. My dad was a big Ivan guy, right? So I
Oh
mean,
yeah. Yeah.
that was on a lot. But yeah, I mean, going back and listening, like for me, I played a lot of catch up. Like once I got the gig, I was
Yeah.
going back and listening to albums and going, whoa, like this is serious. Like to go back and listen to like Live Naturally,
Yeah.
stuff like that, and Chattanooga Live. I was trying to play catch up. So many great lineups. I mean, it's hard to pick, but for me, looking back, I would say it would be like Ernie, Jim, Wayne Maynard. That was a highlight.
Yeah.
I would say, Brian, to your credit, going back and listening, that Jerry Martin, you, Parker Jonathan, that was a tough group.
Yeah.
You talking high?
Oh yeah, man.
There ain't many groups wanting to go there on
No. No.
that. I mean, when you got your baritone is when your baritone is screaming, the lead and tenor are up there. Like that was a tough group. Obviously, like for me, like what I knew most was Gary,
Yeah.
Tim, Hamill was always there, right? That
Yeah.
was a standout, and Ray was there the whole time. But yeah, those were the highlights for me.
Yeah. Cool.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Yep.
this next question we're going to ask was kind of inspired by a good friend of ours, Daniel Mount. He has a Southern Gospel Journal, and
I remember that name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, so we did a joint collaboration with him a few weeks ago.
Okay.
His podcast and our podcast. We kind of and so he asked a great question that I thought we might adopt to our format here. If you could choose 5 Southern Gospel albums that we would put in a time capsule, and maybe 100 years from now, people be watching maybe even our episode here with you, Grant, and they open up this time capsule, and they don't know anything about Southern Gospel music, have never heard of it. What 5 albums would you put in there that you'd want people to hear in 100 years that maybe inspired you, or maybe
Yeah.
that you think that was a killer album that's got to go in this? It don't have
Yeah.
to be all be Kingsman, but any
Yeah.
5. What 5 Southern Gospel albums would you put in that time capsule?
That is very hard to nail down to 5 albums, and because there's so many good ones, I'm gonna have to give 5 and then maybe some special mentions. But
Okay.
personal to me, Good God stands out just
Yeah.
because it was so unique and different. Roger Talley produced it.
Yeah.
It was a different vibe, a different sound that just grabbed me, and I was like willing to go all in on it. I mean,
Yeah.
that had a lot to do with why I went out there. That would be one that's very personal to me, and some people might go like, well, of all time, but it really was a great record.
Yeah.
I would say another Kingsman Live Naturally, of course.
Yes.
I would say non-Kingsman would be Pillars of Faith. I think
Yes.
might be greatest Southern Gospel album of all time. I mean, it's just
Yes.
you had the Larry Goss production. I mean, you had the orchestration. I feel like Gold City took a different step. They like went from maybe some boot chinky stuff, not knocking it, but it took a different level of
Yes.
professionalism.
I agree with that.
Even if you were an average Joe that knew nothing about Southern Gospel and you heard that, you were like, okay.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
I would say on the same note, Gaither Vocal Band, acapella.
Yeah.
I mean, like the David Phelps, Guy Penrod, Mark
Yes.
Lowry, like that special album. I could also put acapella gold there. I mean, those two are
Gold City, yeah.
depending on what you're looking for. Let's see. I made a list here too. Let me make sure
Okay.
I don't mess this up here. Yeah, Live in Atlanta, Gold City.
Yeah.
That's I mean, I spent a lot of time listening to that. I would say one that maybe is a special mention. The Dub Brothers did a record. This is when I was in high school, and I spent
Okay.
more time listening to this. It was a Mosey Lister tribute album.
I remember that. I remember that.
Jerry Martin was on it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was a big Jerry Martin fan. And that album just had a vintage, authentic quality to it that really stood out as different. Anyway, there's my
Yeah.
humble list.
Okay. That's good. That's good, man.
Yeah.
Grant, was there a special memory while traveling with the Kingsmen that you want to share? Anything that just comes out, sticks out in your mind?
Yes. Yes. So I've got a few. How much time do we have here?
Oh, we got plenty of
Go
time,
ahead.
man. You
Go
Okay.
ahead. Yeah.
I got a few. One I'll share with you that stands out as a special memory. So I've got some funny ones. This one's more special than it is
Okay.
funny. Um, Brian, I think you were with us then. It's hard to remember, but this was this guy booked us. He was the pastor of the church. It was a big church, and he loved the Kingsmen. Like
Okay.
just in the conversations, he loved classic Kingsmen, new Kingsmen. He was into it, right?
Okay.
And no prep. There was no conversation about this. The band is in place, right? The place is packed. It was one of those where you know how sometimes some services have that energy, like you
Yeah.
just know,
Yeah.
like people came wanting it,
Right.
and you just knew it was going to be a special night.
Yeah.
You could feel the energy, and the pastor gets up there and shares his story, and I'm gonna probably mess it up a little bit. Maybe I'll exaggerate a little bit, but my version of my memory
Okay.
of it was awesome. I get chill bumps telling this story to this day. I've told people, but he gets up there and the band's in place. Me, Nick, and Brandon, in-ears are in. We're ready to go. And he says, "Folks, I want to tell you a story about when I was a very young man." He said, "I went, I was gonna go here because he wasn't an old guy.
Okay.
So you have to figure out the years here. But he said, my dad said we're going to hear gospel music. Get your shoes on." And he said, "I don't want to go." And he
Okay.
said, "I didn't ask you if you wanted to go. I said, get your shoes on." Right. And so he's pouring it on, right? People are into his story, right? And he says, so I begrudgingly went. He said, I was in a bad attitude. He said, I just did not want to be there. He said, the place was packed. He said, we're on the balcony, and he said, I'm not looking over the railing of the balcony. He said, I'm slumped down. I'm irritated. He said, and I hear this sound. He said, and it's something I'd never really heard before. He
Okay.
said it was Johnny Perrick, and it was Jim Hamill, and he's going through, and I mean, he is pouring it on, right? I mean, like I'm like I'm like caught up in his story, and I'm
Yeah.
on stage getting ready to play these songs, right? And he says, and I said, "What is this sound I'm hearing?" He said, "So I made my way to the railing to look over and see who was this special group, right?" He said, and I saw the men standing there. He said, they were the mighty Kingsmen. He said, and the song they sang, just as the sun went down. And that is the first song on the set. I'm telling you, I got like a lump in my throat.
Wow.
I'm like, oh my goodness. My man, I'm doing it no service, but my man built the awesome
Yeah.
intro,
That is so cool, man.
and we're counting it off, and I got chill bumps thinking about it. I was like, wow. I mean, that was an awesome intro, and the crowd went insane. I mean, it was just like,
Wow.
people were into it. Brian, I think you were there, man.
I think so. I think I remember that. I think I remember
But
that.
that stood out. I can tell some funny stories too. If I got a
Yeah.
couple queued up, if you want them.
Well,
Yeah.
save one for the end. Make
Yeah.
sure you save a funny one for the
Okay.
end.
Okay. All
You got
right.
another. You got another.
I got
funny one?
another one. Brian, this one's about you.
Oh no!
All right.
Oh no!
So, for people that don't know, that listen to this podcast, Brian Hudson sleepwalks.
Oh, here we go.
Sleepwalks. All right. Well, it was a little freaky, right? Being up there, you'd be mid conversation, and the doors, like a horror movie director could not do it better, right? The doors, when you hit the button, they slid really fast. It was like you hit the button and go,
The air door.
shoom, yeah,
Yeah.
shoom, shoom, right, real fast. So we knew Brian did this, right? But we had only seen it a couple of times. Well, this Joker, we're 4 or 5 of us are up front driving, probably midnight,
Yeah.
and and the door, shoom, swings open, and Brian's standing there, eyes closed, kind of wobbling, and we're instantly like, because he starts walking in the front lounge, and we're like climbing up the couches to get away from him because we don't know what he's gonna do. And that joker, I kid you not, Brian, I'm telling the truth, opens the silverware, grabs a paring knife. I'm telling you, we wanted to run through the front windshield of that bus to get out. We are scared to death. We're climbing in the bathroom. We are running up to the front, like the stairs where it goes down to the front door. We are doing everything we can. I'm surprised Larry didn't wreck us, but so he goes back with this paring knife into the bunk area, and he just puts it inside the little lip of the bunk, right, and lays back down. And so we quickly went and grabbed the paring knife, and we made sure no more knives. It was like a rule, like Ray, like the next day was like, guys, we got to have a meeting. No more knives on the bus. We can't handle it. Brian can't do it. It's a real
I've never
threat to
heard
the
that
group.
story. I mean, I just the only thing, like, I didn't go to the bathroom or anything. I just came out to get the knife.
Nope.
Was out.
Got your knife.
Wow.
Got your bedtime knife.
Holy mackerel! So we've had a couple guys talk about me sleepwalking.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever mentioned the knife. That's the first.
Oh man, that I'll never forget that. Scared us to death.
Wow. Holy
Did y'all include him in the meeting about the knives the next
Oh
morning?
yeah. Oh yeah. We were
Okay.
like, we got to have a real conversation now. This is all jokes aside. Like, no more knives on the bus.
Holy mackerel! I
I
did not
think
know.
that is the third time we've heard about Brian sleepwalking on
Yeah.
the Crown
Oh my
podcast.
gosh!
I have witnessed it. Yeah.
Wow! Holy mackerel!
Oh
man.
Ooh. Mm.
Well, that being said about you, you said cousin had that meeting with us.
Yeah.
How was it? Most and to be honest with you, Grant, you're one of the few guys that has traveled with Ray in the last several years. You were there back when he was there on the bus all the time. He don't get to travel all the time because of he doesn't get around as good as he used to, and
Yeah.
so he's slowed down considerably. But how was it during your tenure traveling with Ray Dean? How was it?
Man, it was good. I mean, he and I were polar opposites. Think about the age difference, right?
Yeah.
Oldest to youngest, right? I just did not understand, I knew he was a legend and I respected all that. I just did not understand, like, when he was joking. I didn't understand when he was serious.
Yeah.
He'd come up and he'd put his arms, he'd put his arms over your shoulders talking to you, real
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
And I just could not read him at all. I just did not understand. I didn't know where I stood with him, but he was always good to me. He was always good to us, and he just loved it. He just wanted to be singing gospel music, and he loved the process. He loved doing it. He loved traveling. I'm just so grateful to him that
Oh,
he
yeah.
let me do it. And I remember him talking with my dad and saying, I'll take care of him. Like, it's gonna be
Yeah.
fine. Because
Yeah.
my dad, we were tight. We are tight. And leaving Men of Faith and doing that, Ray knew that was gonna be heavy, and so he
Yeah.
was he did. He kept his word.
And
So
how old were you when you joined the Kingsmen?
20, 19 or 20. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, it was just a big age gap, and just culture shock. I mean, we were just so different.
Yeah. And plus, I mean, I've got kids. My youngest is 25, and my oldest is almost 35.
Yeah.
And I can't. It'd be hard for me to send a 20-year-old
Yeah.
on the road with
Yeah.
to travel the world, and
Yeah.
that'd be a difficult thing, man. Not only losing you to the Men of Faith,
Yeah.
but sending you out with these guys you barely even know,
Yeah.
and and we had cell phones back then, but they weren't
Yeah.
they weren't as popular as they are now, of course.
Had real buttons you had to press.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
No screens. No.
Yeah, and had to you couldn't tell Siri to dial the number,
No.
So that it had been a difficult thing for sure.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
But do you have any special funny Ray Reese stories you can remember?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I'm sure you have shared this one, Brian. So I'm sorry if I'm doubling up.
Oh, you're
But this
fine,
is
man.
my best Ray Reese story because it was hilarious at the time. You talk about your throat hurting from laughing.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know that I have laughed this hard. This is the chicken bog story.
Yes,
Oh.
yes. Tell that.
So
Okay, tell that.
Yeah.
So we show up to this church and they've got, a lot of places would have food for us, right? And that was cool. Hey, a
Yeah.
break from the rice and Coca-Cola, right?
Yeah.
Or and Waffle House, right? And so, man, this place had a big, I'm gonna call it a vat. It was like a
Yeah.
huge, huge container of mush. And it did taste good. It did taste good.
It smelled great. It smelled
Smelled
great.
great. But we get in there, and I remember Brian specifically, and we said, "What are we eating?" And they had like crackers. They had their attempt at sweet tea, I think, because a lot of places couldn't get sweet tea right. You got to put the sugar in while it's hot, right?
Yes.
Nobody
Yeah.
understood that. They're thinking raspberry tea anyway. Don't get me started on that, but anyway, and they said it's chicken bar, and Brian said, "What's that now? You're saying chicken bar? It's a chicken bar." Was you saying chicken ball? Right. And Brian was like really hung up with this guy, and it's like, are you saying chicken bog? And like, is it BOG or is it BAA? Like, what is it? And it was a lot of back and forth that had us laughing already. So we already
yeah,
had,
man.
we kind of already had the giggles going right over chicken bog. And Brian is really going off about this. And so we're sitting down eating, and Ray is sitting in such a way where we're talking about the chicken bar, we're laughing, and Ray's talking, and a piece of rice flies out and hits Brian's face and sticks to his face. And I mean, we
Yeah.
died laughing. We were in the floor laughing. We were done eating at that point. It was like that
Yeah,
was just
we were
slightly
about
gross
done
enough.
then.
We were done.
Yeah.
eating.
Yeah.
But Ray, man, he always has us laughing with stuff like that.
And I kept asking the guy, I said, "Are you saying chicken bog or chicken ball?" He said, "Chicken ball." And
Chicken ball.
he would say it the same every time. And then I
Yeah.
think there was some other guy in there with
Yeah.
him and like stirring the pot. He'd say, "These boys ain't never had chicken ball." I said, "Well,
Yeah.
we might have had it if we knew if we could tell what you're saying."
Right.
But it's
Yeah.
chicken ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah, and I've seen the recipe since like many years later. I'll laugh. I'll come across
Yes.
somebody will have something,
Wow.
and it's chicken bog. It is BOG. It's
BOG,
basically
yes.
it is
yes.
overcooked rice till it just comes out to mush, right? And pieces
Wow.
of chicken. I mean, that's all.
Yeah,
it is.
that's what happened about maybe 15 years ago. I was on Facebook, and some random restaurant come up with like an ad, and it said on Tuesdays chicken bog. I said,
There we
"That's
go.
what it's called. Is
That's
chicken
it.
bog."
We definitely did not leave with the answer. We did not know what it was when we left.
In fact,
Yeah.
I thought I'm not even going to eat this stuff. I don't even know what it is. He won't answer me. These boys have never heard of chicken bog. Well, we might have.
That is the
what it was
truth.
called.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the truth. Oh my goodness.
That is true. That is funny. That is
Oh, that's a good story there. Yeah. That is good. Oh, Grant, do you have a hidden talent that most gospel music fans won't know anything about? I know you
I
said you
was,
play guitar earlier, but anything else?
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten into playing electric. I play some acoustic. I've gotten into sporting clays, so
Okay.
me and my
Yeah.
dad, because the group, I went back to Men of Faith and we did that for a while, and we changed
Yeah.
the name to Leave 99. We had a great time doing that and great ministry. And then we decided to fold that up April of last year. So me and dad
Okay.
have gotten into sporting clays. So I tend to get pretty zeroed in and obsessive on stuff. So that's what I'm on right now. But growing up, I was big into art. I actually had a scholarship to
Wow.
go to an art school
Oh,
before I went to the Kingsmen.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yep.
So can
it
you
was
draw and things
way
like
too
that? Are you
expensive.
pretty good at
Oh
drawing?
yeah. Great at drawing, charcoal, all that. Not good on the sculpting side. Wasn't a great painter. So
Okay.
I had a long ways to go on that side, which is kind of neat if you're going to be in art, right?
Yeah, that's
But
true. That's true. I
but I could,
didn't realize it.
yeah.
I had no idea. See, here we
Yeah.
go, Josh. Finding out
Something
something
new.
we never knew before.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you on that note, it's paid off in my adulthood. My oldest son, when I was teaching him how to read, we had a book, teach your kid how to read in 100 easy steps or whatever it
Yeah.
was. And every night we'd go through it, and it was different sounds. And I told him, if you get this sound figured out, I'll draw you a picture of whatever you want. We'll color it. So I would do one a night, and we had a notebook slam full of them. So
That is
anyway,
so cool,
it's
man.
paid off. Yeah,
That
That's
is
right.
so cool.
yeah.
That is so
Yes,
cool.
sir.
Well, you stepped off the Kingsman bus in 2007. Of course, you went back to the Men of Faith and played there, and you went and you continued to play the music. Do you ever see yourself going back on the road? And okay, you're shaking your head. No. Okay. Well.
No,
Yeah.
it's fun. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
But just just the situation of my life and and everything. I couldn't do it. I
Yeah.
couldn't do it. But hats off to people that do, man, because I understand the sacrifice and but no, I won't. I won't do it.
I totally get
Now,
that. Well.
for me to do a thing here and there, that's really what I enjoy. Like
Yeah.
I'm doing a little bit of studio work with a friend here locally that's just started, but playing at my church and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. So
That's cool. Well, this is not on the program, but I got to ask this: is your mom-in-law still making taco soup on occasion?
oh yeah, on occasion, yeah,
Deidre, I remember we went and they fed us at her house, I think.
yeah, yep,
And she
sure
made this
was.
taco soup,
Oh,
and that was 2007, almost
yeah.
20 years ago. And I'm still making her recipe that she gave me that day. Maybe once every 3 or 4. Well,
Yep,
once every 2 or 3
I do too.
months.
Yeah.
Yep,
I'll ask your
love to
mom,
hear
say,
that.
"Honey, what do you want?" She said, "How about some taco soup?" And we go get the scoops, at that.
Oh,
And it's exact recipe of what your mom-in-law gave me that day. That's still the same recipe that I'm using. So,
And I've messed up and tried to make it my own and change it, and I just got to go back to her recipe because
oh
I've
yeah,
messed
man,
it up.
you can't mess with perfection, man.
Yeah,
I think the day that she fed us that, I think I had maybe 5 bowls. I
yeah,
mean, it was incredible.
yeah.
And I'm thinking I've got to get this recipe, and
yeah.
she wrote it
She'll
down
love to
for
hear
me,
that.
and I'm still
Yeah,
using it to this day. So
Yeah.
she'll love to hear that. Yeah,
give her props on it. Give her props on
I will.
her taco soup recipe.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
Good
Grant,
stuff.
tell the good folks there what you're doing nowadays, sir.
So I'm a mortgage banker now. When I left the Kingsman, I got my start in banking. And the guys probably thought I was a little nuts there, and started as a teller, right, and then it went to new accounts, and then I was branch manager, and then um, started doing some mortgages on the side at the same time, and then went to a mortgage company in 2014, and so I've been there ever since. And man, it's been really good to me. My boys ask, "What do you do?" Like they try to understand what I do, right? I
Yeah.
help people buy houses, right? And so there's
Yeah.
a fulfillment there. It's been good to me financially, but there is a fulfillment, and it's been something I can grow in, and
Yeah.
um, yeah. So
That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool.
yeah,
I remember you working at the bank, and you just a teller, and so to see you
yep,
all these years later, and you're making a good living at it, and
yep,
that's awesome, brother. That's seriously awesome. I love to
yep.
watch, especially the young guys, and both you guys are young, and here I've got one foot in the grave. I mean, I'm old, and so I've got 3 granddaughters, and
Goodness.
it blesses me to see the younger guys, come along and getting to
Yeah,
really make something of their life. And but
yeah,
we talked about Philip Hughes uh
yeah,
couple times already tonight. And when I came back in 2007, you were there. Philip was singing lead and doing such a great job. And you said you rode with him and you commuted with
hmm
him. Uh, having and Philip passed in January 2024. And do you have any
yeah.
special memories or special stories on
Oh
Philip?
yeah. Man, so Philip and I, because the big thing when I joined the group was like, you're gonna move to Asheville, right? And I really didn't want to,
Yeah,
and I was putting it off, and um, I just didn't see a path on how to do it because I was so young. Like the idea of buying a house then,
yeah,
or even renting, I just anyway, it was just seemed far fetched. But so they said, well, Philip lives in Ashburn, and that's about 3 hours away, and it's on your way anyway. And so he was gracious enough to let me meet him at his house every single Wednesday night. I'd
yeah,
leave Greenville at 6 p.m. I'd be at his house by about 9 p.m. We'd ride together to Asheville.
Yeah.
And what's funny is, and this is funny looking back, but Philip was high. He was piercing,
yeah,
and something about the elevation, right? As you were going towards Asheville, your ears would start to you're trying to get them to pop,
Yeah.
and everything sounded high anyway. And so my memory of Philip was always how Pearson his talking and his singing was.
Yeah.
He'd say, "Let's sing,"
I
he'd
love
put
you.
something on, when he was always doing that when, he always had that tone
When?
going.
When?
And so but we had so many good talks, and we'd laugh, and he'd say, "Hey, listen to this album so and so just put out." And he was always looking for good music. He was always like pouring into me. Listen to why that's good. Listen,
Yeah.
the bass player's not doing a whole lot right there. Listen how good that is. He's just laying a pillow down for everybody else, And
Eh,
listen to what that singer's doing. Listen to all that feeling, emotion he's putting
Yeah.
on it, you know. But he was such an encourager to me
Yeah.
because looking back, I was so insecure and just not never felt like I'd really earned my place in it, and that I felt like I could just be fired any day.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
and so he would we'd have a weekend where I felt like I didn't do great. If I
Yeah.
had a little boo boo on a song here or there, I'd be riding back, just beating myself up, perfectionist.
Yeah.
And he would just pour into me, man, don't. He said, you're in the Kingsman, man. You're here for a reason, and you've done it, and man. Keep working on it. Practice your stuff. He could really, and Brian, I think you would agree. Um, Philip was hard on you. Like
Yeah.
if you did something bad, he would say, so and so, you're singing flat. I'm gonna
Yeah.
just tell you, I love you. You're singing flat. Stop singing flat. So he'd bring you down,
Yeah.
but then he would after that service was over, he'd say, "See, you're not singing flat anymore. You got it all figured out. All you
You
had to do was say
you got
when."
his voice down, brother. You got his voice down.
When.
Yeah. When?
He was always doing it. I was like, ouch, man, that hurts. But he just knew how to really build you up
Yeah.
and give you what you needed to hear. And here, I went to his funeral and hearing other people share
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yes.
People that he had traveled with recently, saying how much he had built them up and
Yes.
gave it to them straight too, though.
Yeah.
Just he was a good encourager and a good friend.
Yeah. Well, you talked about his funeral. When he passed, it was the week of the Singing at Sea cruise.
Ah,
And so many, and I told Yvonne, I said, I want to go to his funeral. I said, but the day of his funeral, we're going to be,
yeah,
3 days into the cruise.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I said, all his singing friends, there's going to be so
yeah,
many of his singing friends that won't be able to go to his funeral because I'll have to be on the cruise.
yeah,
And so when we got back, I watched the live stream broadcast after I
yeah,
got off the cruise. And like you said, and we've talked to multiple guys, and Josh will tell you this. We talked to multiple guys. Almost every single person described Philip the way you did and
yeah,
encouraged him.
yeah, yeah,
And yes, we ultimately need to be more like Jesus, but it wouldn't hurt us to be a little more like Philip Hughes,
yeah,
where he was encouraging. Because it's so easy to criticize people, and the
yeah,
day and time we live in, man. If you say anything, man, people come and attack you and
yeah,
criticize you. We got enough critics, man. We need more encouragers.
yeah.
So
Well, he knew how to frame up criticism. I mean,
yeah,
he'd start you with something really positive. Now he's like, "Man, you need to work on that song. I'm hearing some things ain't quite right." And then at the end of the night, like,
yeah,
"See, you got it, man. You got it.
yeah,
You got this thing figured out." He just knew how to. He knew how to talk to people. I mean,
yeah,
there was I think a level of salesman in him
yeah,
from
yeah.
his past that he just knew how to talk to people. He
And
knew how to make you feel good. So
yeah, and like you said, his criticisms were to make you better. I mean,
yeah,
they really
yeah,
were. They weren't.
yeah.
He didn't criticize you to pick on you. He
No, no, no.
criticized you or things that you were doing to make you better. And
Yeah.
so
Yes.
that was
Yeah,
the true heart of Philip Hughes for sure.
yeah.
So
We spent a lot of hours on them roads together, just me and
I
him
guarantee you.
riding in his car together. Shared a lot of
He was
wisdom
into
with me.
something all the time. I mean, I think at one point he was selling bottled water, and then he was selling this, and then he was doing that. He was always into something
Yeah,
extra. So
yeah,
he was a good man for sure.
yeah, no doubt.
Oh, goodness. That's great.
Mm.
Grant, before we close up tonight, do you have another funny road story that you can share
Okay,
with us, sir?
I got one I debated on, so if y'all need to cut this out, you can, but
Okay.
this was hilarious. This was absolutely great. So, if you ever met Tony Peace, Tony is a character, right?
He's
I
a
mean,
character.
he could frustrate you, and he did frustrate me at times, but he also made us laugh like nobody else. and we were doing this Bill Bailey date.
Okay.
All right, Bill Bailey did a lot of Kingsman, Brian Free Insurance, Perry. Seemed to always be that combination. And we're there early, right? So there's nobody there, right? So this is totally harmless. I'm gonna start by saying disclaimer, totally harmless.
Yeah.
But we've done our sound check. The guys are out, but it's Tony, me, Nick, and Brandon.
Okay.
And Tony said he goes over to Nick and he says, "Hey Nick, go in and give me just a root fifth, boom tink, 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 boom tink." Right? He said, "Brandon, give me a checka." Right? And so we're just laying down very generic Southern gospel. Basically, it was what he wanted, right?
That's right.
And so he says, "I wrote a song. I'm gonna let y'all hear it." Right? And so I'm probably messing the story up a little bit, but he says, he starts singing it. Some glad day after a while. Right?
Yeah.
Some glad day, because he was deep. I mean, he really he had a huge range. I mean, he could absolutely sing bass. He could sing, into some really higher baritone stuff.
Yeah.
So he's in the depths, right? And we're dying laughing, right? And then he goes into the next octave, right? Some glad day after a while. And he had that gruff and some glad day after a while. Well, next thing you know, my man has climbed another octave or two and is screaming at the top of his lungs. Some glad day after a while, has taken his shirt off and is spinning it. I'm telling you, I thought my throat was going to come out of my mouth laughing so hard. And I see Bill, I think it was Bill Bailey. He stick his head through the back door, looking in there at us like, "Are you
Tony's
kidding
got his
me?
shirt off.
Are you?" Yeah, Tony's. I mean, big old belly shining under the lights, man.
That is
Hilarious.
Yeah.
He was always doing stuff like that. Man, we could sit here all night talking about all the funny Tony stories, but that
is
one
hilarious. And
he
with
wrote his own song
with his shirt off.
No undershirt. I mean, bare chested Southern gospel.
Wow.
Right. That's your next Kingsman album right there.
Yes.
Bare chested Southern gospel.
Well, see, we interviewed him a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And somebody had asked to hear Some Glad Day After a While. And
Alec Kendall did.
So now we know the story.
Okay. There you go. I was
now.
there. I was there when it was written, when it was originated. Okay.
Yeah.
Some Glad
right
Day.
there when it happened.
I played bass on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boys, I have audio recorded from Silver Dollar City with him doing that, kicking off a concert.
Oh, do you really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to hear that. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
That's classic, man.
Well, I hope he's okay with me sharing that story, but man, it was too good.
He is. I'm sure he is.
It's too good.
That's
he did it.
good.
I mean,
yeah, that's right.
oh,
goodness.
Well, thank y'all for having me.
Grant, we appreciate you, buddy. This has been another great episode.
We've had a blast, brother. We've had a blast.
Yeah. We appreciate everyone for listening with our special guest, Grant Barker, tonight. Brian, it's been another great episode. We learned some things that I didn't know.
Oh, yeah. Found out some things, and I'm going to have to go downstairs here in a while and share with my wife about the paring knife. I didn't know that all these years later.
100% true.
I'm sure she'll be interested in hearing that story. So, but Grant, seriously, man, thank you for joining us, brother.
Yeah.
And we love talking to you tonight. And you keep doing what you're doing and stay in contact with us. And we'd love to have you come back again sometime and share some more road stories with us, brother.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yes. You can find Behind the Crown podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and all major podcast streaming platforms. Then also you can find the video portions of these interviews on our YouTube channel. Just search Behind the Crown podcast on YouTube. Then also be sure to like and follow Behind the Crown podcast on Facebook and Instagram.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Behind the Crown podcast with your hosts, Brian Hudson and Josh Griffin. If you would, please like, rate, and share this episode. Join us again for another episode of the Behind the Crown podcast.